You'll want a nice long piece of extruded clay. You're going to be cutting at least 26 approximately half-inch pieces out of your extruded clay. And I say approximately 26 because sometimes you smush these up and you need a fresh one to start with. So count on more than 26 in case you misshape a few and need to start over. So what we're going to do, I lay this on my lined cutting mat under here, and then I'm going to cut with a razor blade. Since I don't want to use my big long tissue blade, I'm just going to chop up every, you see that, every white square. This is a measurement more than anything. You're going to need 26 of these plus. So go ahead, chop up your extruded cane. We'll come back and shape them. Okay, so I have these pile of green pellets, roughly all the same size. And what we're going to do, I'm using the measurement on my guide again. I'll set this in the middle in that little 2-inch square, because when I'm done rolling this, I want it to fit in the big white square. So I'm using these two lines as a measurement again. This is so I can keep my pieces fairly consistent. It doesn't matter if they're over or under, but they need to be about that size. So next thing we do, finger here, finger here. I've got them slanted kind of to the side, and I'm going to roll these edges. See what I'm getting? I'm getting this little point on both ends. I lay it in there. It's a little short of my two white lines. I have a little more room to smooth it out. I'm leaning to both edges. It's making kind of a cone on each end with a little bump in the middle. Once I see I have it out to my size, I lay it off to rest. Pick up the next one, set it in there. See how it fits in there? Put your fingers on either side, just to the edges, and roll. Pressing down gently. Starts to flatten out on both sides. Eyeball it. Gets a little longer on one side. Roll the other one. When it starts looking even, oh, I got room yet. I'm going to roll it here and here. Smooth it out. Now, as you can see, these aren't identical. Here's what's important. They've got a lump in the middle. They're pointy on both ends, and they fit in this square. And as long as they fit that criteria, you'll be able to build this plant. So go ahead and roll out all 26 of your pieces. If you mess up a shape, this is why I told you to cut some extra ones. If you mess up a shape and say you got it just, I mean, all wonky, there's no putting that back together. But there's also no getting it back to good. I like to start with this, so squish it up. Grab a fresh one, put it in the middle, so you can use these two lines. Those marks are about 1 inch apart. And in no time, you're back to good. Bump in the middle, cone on two ends. All 26 pieces, and let them rest. I'm going to take a minute here to correct myself. I want to show you something I don't know if you noticed. When I roll these, I put my fingers down, and this is more of a half roll. Once I get that going, it's sliding on my clean palette there. It's a half roll. See how I'm going back and forth? I'm not going all the way over it, all the way back. It's a little half roll. What this does, and you'll notice on all of my pieces here, let me get it out, is leaves one side fairly straight and puts the bump on the other side. And then when you lay them down to rest, you put that little bump up. They look like little slugs. Flatten the bottom, hump in the middle. I'll show you one more time. Put that down, put your fingers down. Don't go all the way up and all the way down. Just stop. You'll feel that bulge start to form. Just half roll those points. There you go. Little half roll, back and forth. If you went all the way up and all the way down, it thins both ends and leaves a giant point in the middle. And we don't want it. We just want flat on one side, little slug hump on the other. And then let it rest with the hump up. Okay, so this is where your ball tool is going to come in. We're going to pre-shape every single one of these with this. Now once you have all your slug pieces, they look like slugs to me, laying out, what we're going to do is we're going to take one, we're going to take the ball tool, set it directly straight down on top of that. Here's what's going to happen. Let me give you a better view. Ready? Side view. We're going to squish. See how I didn't flatten that all the way to the bottom? Roll it to the front. Roll it to the back. Not side to side, just horizontally, and lift. And what you get is a little leaf shape. So we're going to keep going like that. Right in the belly. Press down. Roll to one side, roll to the other. Leave it set. Press down, roll to one side, roll to the other. Leave it set. Press down. This is so repetitive. 26 times. Oop, it's stuck. A little excitement. Woo-woo! And there you have it. You do this to all 26 pieces. Just let them set right where you pressed them. Let them rest on that cold glass. Maybe smooth out any bubbles or anything you find. See that? Just smoothed right out. So go ahead and practice smushing slugs, and we'll come back. Okay, once you have all your leaves pressed out with your little round ball tool, I'm going to go ahead, take a circle cutter. This is not the absolute smallest one, the next to smallest one that comes in a standard set, just a cheap cutter. I like that size. This is also, incidentally, you can cut something this size with the tube on your extruder. The opening is the same size as this, roughly. They make great scrap bases to work on. So what I'm going to do, this first layer takes full leaves. We don't have to modify them at all. Now, I want to handle these as little as possible. They're pretty smoothed out from us rolling the ball tool and working on the glass. So I'll go ahead and lift that with my razor blade. Barely touch it on the end. I'm going to set it. For this particular application, I found just leaving that point dangle out over there is good. Come in with the ball tool. Smush that, roll that over the front. See how I've hardly touched this? I'm trying to keep my fingertips out of there. It's nice and smooth. You may get some fingertips in, but for the most part, if you use your razor blade, touch the points very gently. You can keep most of your fingerprints right out of your project. We're going to start applying these so that just the point is down there onto our circle. Flatten that in towards the middle. We're going to put 10 of these on the bottom. There you go. 5 all the way around. And then set this aside. For this layer and each layer after it, we're going to use the leaves that we made, but we're going to modify them. That tip that we smushed into the edge here to hold it down, we don't need those anymore. And we're going to go in and cut about that much off. That tip that we would have smushed down, one of the round tips off of each of the leaves. See that? How we've just flattened those bottoms out? Go ahead and do that to the remaining pieces that you have left. None of them need those little points on the bottom. Okay, now you have your modified tips. We're going to go in We're going to work in between the layers that we just did, but we're only putting 5 on this layer. So here's how this works. See this line between them? We're going to start right here, and we're going to set that right in front of it, in front of that line. Okay? And we're going to skip that next space and go to the one after it. Alright, so we put one in that gap, skip that one, over to here, set it right in front of that layer, smush towards the center. Alright, another one nicely in that gap. Skip this gap, go to the next one. See how we do that? Skip that one. Go to the next gap. See that star forming in the middle? Look at that. One more. There we go. Okay, we're going to come back into the next round and do the same thing. Another layer of 5, same shape, modified leaf. Now we're going to go in the gap between each one of these, set it right in front of the other one, smush towards the center. See how that's building fullness and just rising right up there? Same thing, one more layer of 5 in front of the other one. They're going to be standing up pretty tall at this point. Roll it right down over there into that hole that's in, see that hole that's forming? Just keep rolling those leaves right down into that hole. Set it in the gap in front of the leaves before it. Now we're getting a little bit of a whirl pattern going. Overlap the next one onto the one behind it. So that one's kind of leaning on that one. This one will be kind of leaning on this one. You've heard me mention whirl pattern before. It's how plants build themselves, and it helps make these believable. Same thing. Kind of overlapping his buddy there. One more. Now, we're going to take oddball 26 and we're going to curl it in on itself to make a cup. See that? Give it a little twist. We're going to drop that down in that hole. I'm going to grab a much smaller ball tool that I have. I'm going to squish that down in there. Poke it around. And there you have it. Makes a medium-sized plant. Takes practice. It's quite satisfying.